Hi everyone, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are. I'm your host, Dr. Haider Shah. On behalf of Calvas, I would like to welcome all of you to this webinar. Thank you very much for joining us. Today, we have another very interesting topic, and I'm really honored to welcome and introduce our distinguished guest speaker who is going to talk about the importance of time management in presentation and communication. Time is very precious and we all have limited amount of time, so effective time management is crucial in every aspect of our lives. This is very true when it comes to the presentation and communication as well, where our ability to convey our message within a designated time frame can make or break our success. In this connection, the importance of time management cannot be under determined it as it enable us to deliver our message clearly, concisely, and with impact, while also respecting our audience time and attention. So in this discussion we will explore the significance of time management in presentation and communication, and how it can enhance our ability to connect with our audience and achieve our objective. So really very interesting topic, and I'm sure you will learn a lot from this session because we have an expert with us in today's this session. So stay tuned because an amazing stuff are coming ahead in this session. So before we start, I would like to thank Calvas for arranging such enlightening sessions, for their support and providing us such a wonderful platform. The aim of Calvas is to give you the opportunity to connect and interact with world-renowned speakers, academic leaders, teachers, authors, researchers, experts, professionals, and businessmen to learn from their experiences, recommendations, suggestions, and tips which will create an impact and will enable you to learn and develop yourself in order to grow and transform individually as well as to contribute to the world in a positive way. As our slogan is come, learn, and share knowledge. So today we have an amazing person as guest. We have invited him multiple times, and every time he comes and shares with us new things which are extremely important for our audience around the globe who want to grow and transform in their lives. Let me introduce him formally for those who are joining for the first time. He's a professional inspirational speaker, educator, facilitator, and Amazon best-selling author. He's a positive influencer, mentor, and coach of public speaking, clarity, and confidence building. He started his coaching and mentoring program called Confidently Speaking Institute in 2019 and published his best-selling book titled Say It Loud, Say It Proud in July 2020. His work is about the importance of communication, learn the art of public speaking, and confidence in presentation. He is a distinguished Toastmaster DTM, the highest distinction in Toastmasters International. In addition to that, he is also the coordinator of youth leadership program and facilitator of speechcraft teaching in universities, public speaking, and presentation. Combining a sense of responsibility with the gentleness and humor, he states his mission clearly that I was born to bring out the best in the people by sharing my experience in mechanics and dynamics of confident communication so that others can realize their dreams. Moreover, he is a licensed teacher and had a background in customer service and marketing in the Philippines before moving to Canada in 2008. He now speaks globally in different platform, organizations, and schools to share his mission and vision. Last but not the least, he is a wonderful speaker, author, teacher, researcher, and a wonderful presenter. So please help me in welcoming our guest, Mr. Von Eric Tandoc. Welcome to the Calvas platform, and thank you very much once again for joining us.
Thank you very much for that wonderful introduction, sir. And thank you very much for having me here again. I was
Yeah.
here, I think, 2 weeks ago, and I can't even remember how many times I presented to your show.
Yes. Thank you
Nevertheless,
very much. Yeah, and every time we have you with us is a wonderful time, and every time you come up with new knowledge and sharing wonderful insights and experiences, which are unmatchable. So over to you, and thank you very much.
yes, sir. To everyone who is going to watch this and everyone watching, today we have a very important topic to discuss. And this is about the importance of time management and presentation and communication. Do you see? As a speaker, I learned that I need to watch my time. Okay? And what's the benefit of having a time management in your presentation? Well, we will discuss that later on. Okay? As we go on, importance of time management in presentation and communication. Hmm. This is my new topic actually that I really wanted to share to everyone. And at the same time, while discussing this topic, I'm also learning. I always believe that when you teach something, you learn it twice, right? And so I conceived this topic, time management and presentation and communication. As what Doctor said, I started my confidently speaking coaching program. That's why I'm very much into time management because when I engage with my mentees and of course to some clients, potential clients, of course there should be always time, right? Let's say 30 minutes pre-consultation, right? So that's the importance of time, particularly everyone is busy. This is my book about say it loud, say it proud. And this gives me an idea that I can make another article or writing about time management when it comes to presentation and communication. Now, before we really start in this discussion, I would like to mention the objectives of this presentation. Number one, at the end of this presentation, you will get to know more why time management is important in your presentation. Number two, we will learn the important steps of time management when presenting. So you see, number one consideration when we speak, we present, we train is of course our audience, right? So we need to take care of our audience. And one way of taking care of our audience is by being aware of your time to present and also respecting the time of your audience. So be very aware of our objectives. Okay? We have two objectives. We will get to know more why time management is important in your presentation. And of course, what are the steps of time management when presenting? So this presentation today is for coaches, mentors, speakers, presenters, particularly in your organizations or in your workplace, right? When you have proposals to present to your boss, to the board of directors. So we need to focus also in our time management, not just only in the content, not only in the delivery of your presentation, not only your appearance, right? So time management. Okay, moving on. I love I love this quote by William Penn, and he beautifully said, "Time is what we want most, but what we use worse." Right? And that's true. One of the things that we want most in our life is time. Unfortunately, sometimes we waste our time, right? How do we waste our time? Probably procrastination or just being lazy, right? Or sometimes we worry too much that we use that time instead of worrying too much. Why not be happy? You know, you cannot stop the time, but you can stop or you can control your mind. So go with the time. Time is flowing. So remember this quote: time is what we want most, but what we use worse. and we don't want that. Okay, it's not time management actually, it's you management. Well, the title of our presentation is time management, but the truth is you can only manage yourself. As I mentioned earlier, time is flowing and it's not stopping. How about you, right? So to be able to have a better time management, I will say we should have a better you management. You management. And this refers me to myself too. My self management. Right. So those are the things that we need to consider. Okay. Moving on. There you go. Now we mentioned the audience a while ago, right? It's bad when you waste your time, but it's worse when you waste other people's time. Have you experienced those moments when you're waiting for someone, maybe a lunch meeting in a restaurant, and then someone is late, right? And you're waiting for that person, right? So it's not only your time being wasted, but of course, the person whom you are waiting to as well. So it's really worse when you waste other people's time. One way to be professional is, of course, respecting other people's time. I'll share you one story in Edmonton a few years ago. Okay, so I had this friend of mine who lives in Edmonton, and I live in here in Drayton Valley. So that's an hour 40 minutes. So he asked my help because he wanted to attend a Toastmasters meeting. By the way, this meeting is for those who want to develop their confidence, their speaking, their leadership skills. So he said, "Can you help me and let's attend a meeting?" Well, I can travel in Edmonton just for you. So I'm giving my time to him, the travel, the time, and of course, fuel and everything. And this is free, just in the goodness of my heart to help someone because he's asking help. So again, when I arrived in Edmonton in our meeting place, that's in the West Edmonton Mall. By the way, West Edmonton Mall is the biggest mall in not only in Canada but also the whole North America. That's include Canada, US, and Mexico. So that's our meeting place. Okay. I texted him, "Where are you?" Then I got a very quick reply, and he said, "Well, I'm waiting for you. I'll go there once you will be there." What? I told the guy, we agreed to meet on this time so that we can travel and drive again to the meeting where the Toastmaster meeting being held. So you see, that's unprofessionalism. So I mentored the guy because he's a friend. He's younger than me by maybe 10 years. I understand. Young person, but of course, that's how we come in. As a mentor, as a coach, and as a good friend, we are there to educate somebody. So I told him the importance of time. If you really wanted to be successful, respect the time of other people. And he said, "I learned something today." Of course, we always learn. I'm also learning every day. So that's the story of mine. Like, I traveled an hour and 40 minutes only to come to the place. Where are you? And the text message says, well, I'm making it sure you're there. Then I will go there. No. Okay. So the tip here is, if you, let's say you have an agreement with someone to meet probably 7 in the evening, and then by 7:10 or 7:15 when the person did not arrive, then you are free to leave because it's been 15 minutes, right? But of course, we have to avoid that situation because it's really bad when you waste your time, and it's really worse when you waste other people's time. In today's world that we are really busy, work ethics, professionalism are the key to success. That's why I always love coming back here because I like Dr. Haider Shah's professionalism and work ethics. He requested me to come in 10 minutes before our time. So I have to do it. I have to honor it. Unless there's a circumstances that I can't make it, then I will say, can I go there probably 5 minutes before the time? Something like that. Compromise. Okay? So I want you to remember this one. Please, please don't waste other people's time. And remember the story that I shared with my friend a few years ago. And one thing more that I really, unfortunately, not acceptable for me is canceling your meeting. Like, let's say, even just for a simple get together, eat in a restaurant or have a coffee, and then you eventually, oh, I have a change of mind. Can we cancel this one? No. If as much as possible, don't be late and don't cancel. Particularly if, of course, that's been planned more than a month ago, probably. But of course, there are reasons that we can go for a planned meeting, right? Or planned get together. Maybe you can't get up in your bed, or maybe there's an emergency in your family. But of course, if just a simple thing like change of mind or change in schedule, very unfortunate and it's very unacceptable. So let's not waste other people's time. Okay. So why many people go over time when they are giving presentation? So we are now here in our time management when it comes to communication and presentation. And why do you think many people go over time when they are giving presentation? Okay. Here are the reasons. Yes, no practice. So if you're given a 5 to 7 minutes speech, and I'll share you this club that I belong in our organization, we are given 5 to 7 minutes speech, and it's very evident when you go beyond the 7 minutes. That means to say you did not practice your speech. Okay. How? Because you don't know how to end your speech. You're just winging it, right? So you don't know the opening, you don't know the body of your message or your presentation, and probably you don't know where to end it. So that's no practice. Of course, no plan. That's another reason why we go over time in our presentation. And you don't have procedure, you don't have proper steps. Okay? So those are the reasons. Next one, of course, can you see this timing or alarm clock going to the waste? If no plan, no procedure, no practice, your time and your audience time will just go to the waste. Okay. I would like to share something that will help you, and these are the steps on staying on time when you do your presentation. Okay. So Assuming you practice your presentation, you know your subject very well, you are confident, okay, you are prepared, then one thing that you need to consider is how to stay on time in your presentation. First, know the time limit. Okay? Always ask the organizer, always ask the one who invited you how many minutes and agree on that, right? So let's say 30 minutes, then you know the time limit, right? And it's an hour, you have to know. Always know the time limit, okay? This is the reason why many so-called online conferences, and this is the thing now since the pandemic started, and I've been to these 100 conferences where one organization invites many speakers, probably 10, 20 speakers, right? And I noticed they don't know the time limit, okay? So it's your initiative to know the time limit. And if someone, let's say one organization invited me to speak, and I know there's 20 speakers there, I'll always ask the master of ceremony or the organizer, how many minutes are we going to speak? And if they said 10 minutes, stick to that limit. There are many online conferences that I attended. It's for 2 hours, and almost all speakers are over time, and the conferences, the time doubled, it became 4 hours. So you see, because most of the speakers, I will not call them speakers, maybe presenters, okay? Because there's a big difference when you are really a professional speaker, then you know your time. But if you are just invited to speak for the first time, second time, then you are just presenting. So I'll just not to confuse everyone here. Let's say presenter. Okay. So particularly if you present because you are a teacher and then you were invited to that conference because the theme or the topic is about probably education. So everyone is actually over time. Very few experienced presenter and speakers, they know how to value the time and they know how to respect the time of other speaker slash presenters and the audience. So know the time limit. Okay. And right now, I'm watching my time. If you notice that, watching my time. Rehearse. Okay. It makes you more confident. When you rehearse, you avoid overtime. So that's the importance of rehearsal or practice. Remember, we discussed earlier, no plan, no procedure, no practice, no preparation. So we have to rehearse, and that's the importance of the rehearse. You will not only going to watch your time, you will also correct yourself when you rehearse. And that gives you more confidence. Okay, next one. Time each section of your presentation. What does it mean by this? Okay. In my book, I discuss how the speaker organizes his or her materials. Okay. So one way to stay on time is you know how to organize your speech material. Again, I'm going to mention again, there are three basic parts of a speech: opening, the body of your message, and conclusion. If you master that three basic components of speech, then that's how you organize your materials very well. Now, when I mention time is section of your presentation, okay, Assuming they gave you 20 minutes to present, okay? Some other speaking engagement is an hour. Let's go for 20 minutes for now to just an example, okay? And you have 40 slides. Do you think you will make it and stay on time for 20 minutes? Just think, 20 minutes delivery or time to speak, 40 slides. The answer is very impossible. Because assuming you start each slide for a minute, then that's 40 minutes. Now you are over time. And this is the problem, the challenges of the presenter that I'm discussing, or in my example a while ago, joining online conferences, right? They have only 10 minutes, but they got like tons of slides presentation. Okay? So time each section of your presentation. So what I do, I need to know how many slides presentation I have. That's the technique. And if you speak 1 minute for each slides, then number of slides versus the number of minutes you speak for each slides, that's your time. And you haven't included yet your opening and your conclusion, right? So time is section of your presentation. Okay? Now, have a plan to cut your material. And expert speakers and presenters always do this. Have a plan to cut your material. You know how to present in shorter or longer version. Okay. I have a presentation that I can speak for an hour, same presentation, but I can also speak to that for 30 minutes because I learned to cut my material. Simply said, you can present in shorter or longer version. So have a plan to cut your material. Next one. This is actually effective in an in-person presentation. Prepare a detailed handout. Okay, so you need to prepare a detailed handout. So distribute copies of your material, a photocopy. Okay, okay? So distribute copies of material. Of course, when you present your slides as well as give a copy of your material, okay, uh, the importance of this is if there's a technical glitch in your slides presentation, participants still have access to your presentation. So this is what I do before the pandemic when I spoke to a conference or I do lecture. I prepared a copies of my material. So not necessarily all your presentation, but it's like a basic or the step-by-step guide of your PowerPoint, of your Canva slides, or your Google slides. Okay. So always remember, prepare a detailed handout. This is the most important. Arrive early. More time to set up your props, right? That's the importance of arriving early. You have more time to test your gadget, okay? And of course, you are avoiding rush. And if you avoid rush, you feel relaxed. Okay? We can also do this in our workplace, whatever work you have. Okay, arrive early in your work. Let's say your work is 7 in the morning. Okay, so arrive maybe 15 minutes before 7 or 10 minutes early. So you avoid rush and you are relaxed. And when the time you start your work at 7, you are relaxed. So this is also very applicable to all trainers, coaches, speakers. Please arrive early. Okay. So that way you can test everything. Now that everything is online, we have this online speaking. This is your best time to test your gadget, just like what we did. I have an issue with how to share my slides, and Dr. Shah helped me. Okay, because I'm not expert in StreamYard, and there's nothing wrong in asking help. Okay, there's nothing wrong in showing your weaknesses. For me, that is what we call vulnerability. Your vulnerability is not actually sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength because you're reaching out. Okay, when you arrive early, you can ask someone, the organizers or the staff, to set up your props. They can test your gadget, and there's no rush. In that way, when you arrive early, you can still start on time in your speaking engagements, in your lectures, in your training. So arrive early. Okay, I would like to have a, what do you call this one? Review. Okay, let's review. You need to know the time limit. You rehearse. Time each section of presentation. I love this. This is one of my favorite. You know, I always teach this to new members of Toastmasters, and also I have a friend in Malaysia. Okay, she's really good on doing slides. I love her slides, by the way, but she's always overtime, and she will message me, "Am I overtime?" Yes, you are. Why? Because you don't know how to time each section of your presentation. Okay, review, have a plan to cut your material. Okay, prepare a detailed handout if this is actually in person, but we can do this. Gives an idea. If it's online, you can still prepare a detailed handout. How? Email. You can email your client or your audience, your listeners. Okay. In that way, they still have a copy of your material. And of course, arrive early. Always arrive early. Okay, moving on. So those are the tips on staying on time. I just move back to the slides because I want everybody to show, and so that we have a proper review of those tips on how to stay on time in your presentation. Now, even if they mention to you, "Hey, Mr. Bonaric Tandoc, you will going to speak for 20 minutes," always reconfirm your speaking time. Okay? I'm still speaking in 20 minutes. So always reconfirm your speaking time. Is there any changes? And if there's no changes, still 20 minutes, well and good. Still well planned, right? Very well planned. Okay. When you start on time, you will become proactive, and then you can do all the setup and be in your slot to speak. So start on time. In our training, in our international organization, we train ourselves to start on time and end on time because we have some guests to impress, and we have to value their time too. We have to respect their time. So start on time, okay? And be proactive. Summarize your points. What does it mean by summarizing your points? So you give to have a summary, okay? And stick to your points. The only problem too is if we are discussing one point and then eventually we give examples and then keep on giving examples, sometimes we get away with our points. And too much elaboration and you get away with your points. That's another time in your presentation, right? So if possible, summarize your points. That is one way to stay on time. Okay? Watch the clock. Make it subtle and not distracting. If you're looking, I mentioned a while ago because I'm watching my time. Okay, so I'll give you a sample technique. Not too fancy. Okay, I always have stopwatch besides me. My cell phone is still here to help me on the time because we use our cell phone as our watch sometimes. And then in front of me, okay, I have this guy. So this is in front of me. So in that way, I can still watch the clock. Okay, this is in person. If it is in person, there's always a clock in the room. In online, this will help you. Your cell phone, stopwatch, and clock in front of you. Okay, so excuse me, I'm just putting it back on the alarm clock in front of me. So watch the clock. Okay, now another way of staying on time is let the audience know of changes. Okay, so let's say example, my presentation is actually an hour, but due to time constraint, I'm doing it only for 30 minutes. So let them know of the changes. Same thing. Any changes, okay? That's why it's very important to reconfirm to the host or organizer your speaking time and any other details. So let the audience know of changes. After all, audience is the most important part of your presentation. It's not you as a speaker, it's the audience, the most important part of our presentation. And if you're a teacher or professor, your student is the most important part of your class, not you as a teacher speaking and doing the lecture. So let know the audience of any changes. Okay. Now, why is time management important in presentation? Well, we mentioned very well because of the audience. That's for me my simple answer, right? Respect other people's time, right? Next one. This is one of my favorite topic actually is feedback. The art of giving and receiving feedback. So always ask for feedback. And then you, you will have a clear, concise, organized presentation. Okay? Moving on. If you know how to manage time, you will keep your audience more focused. Okay? That's why public speaking, they said it's difficult. Well, maybe in some aspect, but if you know and study very well public speaking, and if you will let your audience to be more focused, then of course, study and learn the concept of managing time. Okay, that will help you keep your focus. Not only your focus, everyone's focus. Okay? Time management. It helps you set yourself up for success. It's very true. Because you have a smooth flow presentation, okay? once you have a smooth flow presentation, always successful result. And then you will get satisfaction in your feedback. So set yourself up for success. This is it. Okay? If you will consider your audience time, your audience will feel more respected. Always remember that. They will feel respected. Again, this is my book, by the way. Say it loud, say it proud. If there's any question, sir, if you have a question or someone shoot you a question, let me know.
Yeah. Thank you very much, dear sir, for a wonderful presentation. And every time you come and you explain so wonderful. And I love your slides as well because it was portraying a wonderful content with wonderful explanation you were doing. I love your 3 points of practice, plan, and procedure. That's the wonderful tips one can have as a student because these are wonderful. Since you are the judge and you know the Toastmaster competitions as well, and how to rehearsal and what is the role of practice and plan, and you very nicely talked about how can we respect the audience time, and it's very important to give the respect to the audience that you are utilizing their time, and how can you improve your overall presentation. Wonderful suggestion and tips regarding the time management itself, and you talked about very nicely because we got a one message on the more content as well, which I will be asking, but you have already talked about it, but still your explanation and illustration will be required. A very nice overall presentation, and every time we have you with us is always a pleasure and always a valuable lessons for us. And thank you very much for sharing your wonderful story with us as well, because these kind of things are making these kind of sessions wonderful, because the experts, they not only come up with the content and explanation, they also share their experiences and the stories, which actually are very important to create an impact on the people's life and can add value to their lives. And this is what our mission is, to have to we want to add values to the people's life by transforming their life towards the betterment and success. So let's start with the first question. If you allow me, should I start with the first question, please?
Yes, doctor.
Yeah, thank you very much. And dear sir, there is a one question from the faculty member, and they want to ask that thank you very much for a wonderful presentation and wonderful content. Dear sir, would you like to enlighten us about the role of the time management? How can we incorporate in the educational curriculum, particularly because we don't have the particular chapters for the time management? So, is there any recommendation regarding the educational curriculum for particularly for the teachers to teach about the time management? Prof, a very wonderful question they want to ask, and please enlighten us on that.
Very interesting, wonderful, and challenging question actually. So, how are we going to incorporate time management and education? So, that's how I believe, that's how I understand. So, if in your school or university you don't have time management, or let's say, s- how do I call this one? Schedule in your, time
Yeah.
management is should be part of classroom management, right?
Yes.
So time management is always part of a classroom management. And when we manage classroom, teachers are classroom managers. So we have always have way of incorporating time. My recommendation probably talk to the board or to the school principal, and how can we, there's always a teachers meeting, there's always a seminar, how can we incorporate time management in our curriculum? Something like that. So, my recommendation is simple. Maybe reach out. Again, in this presentation alone, I always mention ask for help, reach out. Because as a communication expert, I always believe on reaching out and speaking, asking correct question, good question, right? Well, I'm not saying only ask questions. So ask appropriate questions, right? So probably the best recommendation that I can say, very simple, is talk to your educationist or the one who are planning and implementing curriculum. So again, we are educator, but we are also have educationists, those who are in charge of implementing the curriculum or curricula. So yeah, reach out to them. That's my recommendation.
Thank
I'm
you.
not an educationist. I am an educator. So it's the educationists or those who are conceiving the curriculum that know better on how to incorporate time management in a curriculum.
Yeah.
Over to
Thank
you,
you very
doctor.
Yeah, thank you very much for a wonderful answer. And what I can sum up from your wonderful answer, that is the faculty members should seek the help from the principal or the policy maker who are involved in the curriculum development program. They can better guide them that how can incorporate it. But again, your phrases are very important, that it's very important to be considered and to be included in the curriculum, because these are the practices, and actually these are the skills which needs to be inculcated in the students, because it's very important one. uh, Now we have another very interesting question, and you have already talked about in your presentation as well. There is one student, and she wants to ask that, sir, please guide me and give me the tips that how can I reduce the content in my presentation. In every project, whenever I try to present, I'm having the feeling that I may not miss the content, but at the end of the presentation, I'm always trapped in the time management. So please help me that how can I reduce my content while not having the feeling of missing out any content. Yes, please.
Wonderful question. Without missing part of your content while reducing. First, of course, as we discussed, we need to know how much time we need to prepare or we need to speak or present. Okay. Once you determine the time, then review. If you're using slides, that's okay. Review your slides. Review your number of slides, know the number of your slides, and determine how many minutes you will speak for each every slides. Okay? So that you will not be able to miss the important part of your presentation. Make sure that those important points is always there. Focus on the important points and reducing the least important points. So how can we do that? Let's say, example, you're talking about communication. So think of the two most important or three. It's up to you. Let's say communication, speaking, listening, right? So focus on the important points. The longer the time, the better because you can cover many things. But of course, the challenge is how to shorten your presentation without neglecting the most important points. Okay? So determine the, and again, preparation, practice, right? And if you have that right procedure, that will help you actually, you can reduce the time of your presentation, but you are not actually removing the important aspect of your presentation. Just like in cooking, okay? chef cook are really good, expert. Okay, they can still make a meal, but because of time, they don't add those not optional, okay, ingredients, because they have to make it sure they just have to put the important ingredients, right? And those optional, so that they just remove it. So just like in presentation, right? Focus on the important ingredients of your presentation. And if you don't have time, if you have a reduced time, then slowly remove the optional points. That's my answer to that question. Be like a cook, be like a chef.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful analogy you have given it, and I think that's the self-explanatory as well, as expected. Thank you very much for a wonderful answer. And there is one another question from our audience, which is very interesting, and I enjoyed this question while reading. They said that, dear sir, commendable. Your presentation was so great, and we learned a lot from your presentation. Thank you. And now I have the two questions. You have mentioned two things in your presentation. First is the to get the feedback from the audience and judges, and secondly, practice more. Whenever I practice, my friend says that enough, you are prepared, but I believe that I'm not prepared and I want to do the rehearsal as you mentioned in your presentation as well. And my friends, they get bored and they say that we are not going to listen for the second or third time. So do you recommend that I can present to the mirror to myself, because my friends are not that uh, convenient to get it? So please guide me that should I be doing it in front of the mirror, or should I be doing with in front of my friends who are not going to listen for the third and fourth time? Please recommend.
Thanks for that question. One of the best way to practice actually our presentation is in front of a real audience, right? So your family, your friends, that's a good practice, and I commend everyone doing that. But of course, again, we have to acknowledge their time too. We have to respect their time too. And if they said, well, that's enough time for us to listen to your speech, we have to respect that. Just be open minded. We have to respect that. Now, if you think you need more practice and you don't have that friends of yours who will give extra time to listen to you again and again, over and over, then one recommendation probably is find another set of people. And then if you can't find another set of people or another group of people that will listen, so that you will think that you are really comfortable, prepared, and you're satisfied with your presentation, then mirror is one way to practice. It's a conventional way. One way that I can recommend is this one. Record yourself. Okay? So you have your cell phone. Put your cell phone in front of you. Practice. Let's say speak there your presentation. Then go over the recording. Because sometimes mirror is a good way to practice. I'm doing mirror. But the problem with mirror, and by the way, I'm not saying that don't practice in front of mirror. I'm not saying that. The only problem with practicing in front of mirror is you can review it. There's no rewind. Unlike in recording, you can rewind it, go over many times, right? So practicing in front of mirror is a great way to practice. Better than not practicing at all. But recording yourself, record yourself, and you can go over and over and over. and that will help you be more confident. And then, of course, when you record yourself, again, it takes time. Okay. If you really want to satisfy yourself, it takes time to record yourself and then watch the recording. So that's my tip. But of course, you can still do the mirror.
Thank you very much. And I think wonderful suggestion you have given that yes, we have to respect the time of the others, and you can find other set of people for another feedback as well. And yes, mirror is a good option, but you have very nicely mentioned that we cannot rewind it, we cannot review it. So if we record it, then we can review it and we can see where we are lacking and we can improve our presentation. Wonderful. And one last question, since we have the time limitation, they want to ask that, dear sir, thank you for your wonderful presentation. I totally agree with you with the practice and the rehearsal as well. But please guide me and share some tips that how can I overcome my procrastination because I have this problem. Yes, please.
Okay, to be honest, everyone, all of us has procrastination. And I myself been there, did that. Okay. Well, procrastination. Okay. We have 24 hours in our life every day. So, of course, there's time to sleep, there's time to eat, there's time to work. Okay. So, if you will just have that daily to do list, I have my monthly, I have my schedules there. Break down that into daily. Okay. So, let's say allocate yourself probably 10 to 20 minutes to rehearse in a particular time of the day. So put it in your daily list. Now, if you don't want it in a daily list, probably every other day, as long as you put it in your schedule, personal schedule, what I meant to say. Right? So, what are you going for, let's say, tomorrow? So, the best way to plan your day, they said, is the day before. So, before you sleep, okay? So, what are my activities tomorrow? Oh, I have a speaking engagement with Dr. Shah tomorrow. Okay, so you plan your day, and planning your day before is actually putting a to-do list. Oh, I have a speaking engagement with Dr. Shah at 10 in the morning. Okay, probably I'll rehearse my presentation 2 hours before Dr. Shah. I'll go over my slides. I'll go over what needs to be discussed, something like that. So put it in your day-to-day daily list. Okay. So in that way, we can control procrastinations. I usually do this one. Let's say I put in my small notes. Okay. Let's say what will be my, let's say, go to the bank. I'll give you an example of what I'm saying. Okay. Mm, I don't have my, so this is all my, okay. This is 2017. I'm still keeping it. Okay. Date book. So you can see here, okay, I have my list in here. I hope you can see it. See it, my to-do list. Okay, payroll or anything. I have here. I still have it. Sometimes I need to declutter, so I still have my own old way. So always have a like this small notes. So this is 2015. Okay, and also have a monthly. So I still have my drawer because I have to keep them. So always incorporate a daily to-do list, small notebook or anything. In that way, we can combat or beat procrastination. And I'm guilty. Everyone has a procrastination. Okay, but it takes a discipline. It takes planning to beat that procrastination.
Really agree. Completely agree with you. And dear sir, wonderful suggestion to that. And this is what highly recommended that if you have a to-do list, you will be probably knowing that which things are pending and which things you need to do in a whole day, as you mentioned as well. And very nicely, you have talked and you have showed your own 2017 and 15 the notes that how you have done it. And this is how what actually makes you the way you are because you have been doing and practicing these things for the past so many years, and you have showed the monthly diary as well that you are doing it. So I think these are the things which people needs to understand and they need to develop it. These are the small what the Jim Rohn has already said, that the success leaves clue. So these are the clues for success, that to be like you. And this is what they should be doing it and coming up with the different notes. Yes, please.
I'll show you this one, sir. See?
Yeah,
So
yes,
let's
yes.
say Tuesday, I say sir, and then if I accomplish it, I check it. So
Wow.
not everything I accomplish it. So let's say, what year is this? So this is all. My latest now is up in the app. I'm in my basement. So it says here, mail book. I have to mail my book. So this is 2020 because it says here, mail my books. Post
Yes,
status. Text Alex. See, even texting someone. Text Alex. Go to Napa.
yes.
Organize. Prepare for executive meeting. You can see it because of my. Yeah. Okay. There you go. Because
Nice,
of my.
wonderful. Yes, that's the real examples.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
that's
to be able
wonderful.
to beat that procrastination, make a to-do list. Let's say text Dr. Shah 5 p.m. What is
Yes,
it? Message Brenda. I don't know who's Brenda anymore, but this is 2 years ago. Okay,
yes.
no phone upon waking up. I even reminded myself.
Mm.
See, no sugar sweets. So I reminded myself that day. This is 2020. Okay, so
Yeah,
we all
wonderful.
have procrastinations. So
Yes,
everyone listening, we all have procrastinations, and one way is put a reminder to yourself.
true.
Daily simple list.
Yes, wonderful, wonderful. And I think these are the things which keeps on moving you and telling you what are your day-to-day goals, and you need to achieve it. And if it is achieved, then you can achieve the weekly goals, and that would lead to the monthly goals. That would lead to the semi-annual goals, and then the annual goals. So this is how things work. And I think you have given a wonderful suggestion. Thank you very much, dear sir. All the whenever we have you, we always learn so many new things from you, and you are a wonderful speaker and one of the favorite speaker on the Kalwas as well, because we always receive warm messages regarding whenever we receive and arrange a session with you. We receive wonderful messages from around the globe. So people like you, they follow you, and they always want to listen from you. Thank you for being so great, and thank you for being who you are. And as you know that at the end of the session, we ask for the your message to the world. So again, what is your message to the world as a researcher, trainer, learner, professional, and educator? Yes, please.
Thank you, sir. Respect the time of others, and they will respect your time. Respect other people, and they will respect you too. Thank you, sir.
Wow,
That's my message.
wow, wonderful. This time you have given wonderful message to the world that how can we respect the time of others and how can we respect the time of ours as well, because both are very important. So wonderful once again, dear sir. And to the audience, please follow our distinguished guest speaker through his research work, and you can email him for future learning and guidance. He is always ready to help the people. And that's all we have time for today. And thank you once again to Mr. Von Eric Tandoc for your wonderful presentation and content and for your precious time. And I would like to thank our audience who joined us. If you have any additional questions about information shared today, please email us or connect to the speaker directly through his email or social media account. He is always there to help you. Thank you all for your support and liking our session. Stay tuned as many sessions are on the way. Please do not miss any session until